So there's 300 million LinkedIn users, by the way, folks. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook and target marketing and some other things. So let's talk a little bit about Google and Bing and LinkedIn and Facebook when it comes to advertising. So how does Google make their money? AdWords, right?
The bogus clicks on AdWords.
Well, here's the thing. We'll talk about that. We can measure that. But it's not necessarily so bogus as it may not be targeted, Mike. We may have the wrong target. We may be sending the wrong message. It's not clear. If you're selling to the entire world, what's the likelihood that you truly have something for the entire world? It's really not. You know what? And you could probably have a very strong, thriving business by just focusing on that market you serve really, really well. But does your Google AdWords say that? Or does it say, I serve the entire world? So guess what? The entire world's going to click in. The ones that shouldn't be there leave right away. But what'd you just pay for? Click. So we've got to know, we've got to know, and we've got to understand, and we'll get into that. So what do you think why do you think Google's been so successful? Why is Google so successful? They haven't been around that long. What about Bing? What's wrong with Bing?
It's not Google.
Okay. So what is it about Google that's required them, that's allowed them to lead the market?
It's easy to use and it's simple.
They were the first that built up mass.
They were the first to...
They were the first that built up mass.
Okay. But they built up mass for a reason. There was a reason they had a following. So there's a term called relevancy that Google's really led the market with. And so we're going to talk about rankings today and how that works and page one rankings. But they have one other step. They want Google users to have felt like they had an amazing experience. I found exactly what I needed to find when I used Google. And they've built that model around that. And they're brilliant at it. So we've got to have the same thing. If that's their business model, we've got to have something called relevancy. So make note of that. All right. So there's always a Y in the road. When it comes to your marketing, the bottom line is you're either going to have failure or you're going to have success in your business with generating leads and converting those leads. But we've got to make sure that we're taking this road, right? So we've got to get really strategic in how we're doing that. And we've got to have a strategy that allows us to have success. And we can start out small and we can grow our marketing into that. But we're going to talk about several different ways of marketing. So as a coach, here's what I'm going to tell you is you should not rely on one form of marketing. You need to have multiple lines of marketing. So if you're using Facebook and you're having some success with Facebook, then you keep that marketing program going and then you start investigating LinkedIn. Or you start investigating a Twitter campaign. Or you start doing some things with SEO. So I want to make sure does everybody understand what SEO is when I use that term? Search engine optimization? Okay, we'll go into it a little bit more, but I want to. So, having heard this, how many of you are confident in your marketing plan right now? Okay, good. Honesty, love it. So, let's ask some things. Do you test and measure?
Yes.
How many of you test and measure what you're doing with your marketing? So give me an example of how you test and measure.
I use QuickBooks and I use a sales field
okay.
on my invoices. So if I ask a client, how'd you get my name? I did it from an internet search. I'll put internet search in there.
Okay.
if they give me the name of a referral, like a realtor, I'll put that name in there.
Okay.
And I can bring those back up repeatedly, so I can see where all my sales are coming from.
How often do you look at it? Okay. So,
Actually, I just started refining it a little bit more in the last probably 2 or 3 months.
okay, kudos. You've taken one great step. Take the second step. Get something in your calendar that says I'm going to evaluate my marketing at least once a month. Listen, folks. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Get a notebook pad, put it by your phone, and ask this question: how did you hear about us? Start measuring your marketing. Most people, well, let me just ask this question. If you called me and I said, hey, Randy, if you don't mind, would you tell me how you found me? Would you mind me asking you that question?
No.
No. So it's not an offensive question. We just need to ask it. And if you have team members, you need to make sure they ask it. And then we need to take that data and look at it monthly, because that's how you're going to test and measure in your business. There's some other things online that I'll talk a little bit about that you may or may not know is out there. How many of you know your cost or your profit per lead that you're generating with your marketing right now? Okay. Look, you got to know this. So what does this have to do with Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? See, understand, we got to get on the front end of it, and we'll talk a little bit about how to know these numbers. But you've got, instead of wondering about your post, you need to make sure that you've got a plan to collect this kind of data. Does that make sense? Understand each area of your marketing, so your social and your digital presence, we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then strengths and weaknesses. Do you know your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to your marketing plan?
No, I just throw it all up against the wall and hope some of it sticks.
Yeah. So how many of you honestly have made a really expensive marketing mistake?
Oh, yeah.
All the time, right?
Because what happens? We get to the point where you just say, I need some leads, and so we trust someone and we give them some money, right? And we feel good for a little while. Now, it either is successful and it was a great investment, or it wasn't successful and we're frustrated. But after you invest $1,000, $3,000 in some marketing and you do it one more time, after the second time, what do? You stop. I'm not going to do that anymore, right? How does that help you get leads in your business?